Alright, welcome everybody to another video here on the Cleric's Temple of YouTube. Today, we are talking Wonderlands. For those of you who have been around my channel for a while, you will know that Wonderlands is something that is very near and dear to my heart. I absolutely adore this game. Everything about Wonderlands, I absolutely love. From the characters, to the different classes, to the D&D fantasy style setting, even down to some of the things that a lot of people don't like about the game, I actually very much enjoy. However, there have been some complaints about Wonderlands that I also agree with. Well, today, this would be Thursday, the 29th of September, 2022, they released a much awaited patch for the game. Now, in this patch, there are several good things that I want to discuss, and then one that really confuses me, which I'm hoping we can shed a little light on. The first thing that I really love in this patch is that they changed the amount of crystals that you can spend on the bunnies at the end of the Chaos Chambers in order to get legendary loot. This is something that the community has been asking for a while. This increased from 500 to allow you to spend up to 2,000 crystals at once. It's just a quality of life improvement, basically means that you're not sitting in the loot room for long periods of time, dumping 500 crystals at once into these bunnies, when you can get upwards of 100,000 crystals if you are in multiplayer mode. It just kind of takes a long time, so this increase that we can spend on each rabbit, it's just going to improve your quality of life. It's going to make you spend less time in the loot room and more time in the game. It also increased the amount of gear that can be dropped from each rabbit from 4 to 18 pieces of gear, so even more chance at getting something tasty. Another big quality of life improvement is that they changed how difficult enemies are in the higher levels of chaos. So the global modifiers for enemy damage and health have all been decreased as you go up the levels of chaos. This was something that I think probably didn't need to be addressed, but I'm kind of glad that they did, as a lot of people have been experiencing difficulty climbing the Chaos Chamber levels, and considering the fact that that is currently Wonderland's only true in-game, it does make the experience a bit off-putting should you beat the story and not really feel like you have anything left to do because you don't feel like you can climb. I think the biggest thing that needs to be addressed with this is not necessarily the amount of damage and health that enemies have, but possibly wards. That's something that I have said multiple times, and I will get into in a different video what I think needs to be changed with the wards to make you feel a little less like you are made of wet tissue paper when you go into the higher levels. Another huge change with this change to the Chaos Chambers is that lower quality gear will phase out as the Fate Maker progresses through the higher levels of Chaos mode. This was a massive complaint from the community, and they have fixed it, supposedly. Basically, it would work like this. You would be at max chaos or approaching max chaos level. You would spend your hard-earned crystals on these rabbits, and you would see a bunch of white and green items pop out of them. While for me, that's not necessarily a problem because RNG is RNG, and it doesn't really bother me. For a lot of players, this could feel very unrewarding, especially when you have spent an exorbitant amount of hours grinding your way through the Chaos Chambers just to be rewarded with gear that isn't worth anything. Hell, most pieces of white and green gear aren't even worth the gold of picking them up and selling them. So, basically, in theory, this means that as you increase through the Chaos Chamber, you're going to see higher quality of gear. That doesn't necessarily mean more legendaries. However, since the legendary drop rate does increase the higher you get in Chaos level, in theory, were you to hit max Chaos, you would be getting fully ascended gear and mostly legendaries. I have yet to test this myself, but this is the way that it has worked in previous games within the Borderlands universe. The higher quality your loot is, the more legendaries or really good purple and upper level blue items you will get as rewards. You're bound to see less lower level gear like chaotic and primordial and things like that the higher you get in the chaos chambers. And like I said, while this didn't really bother me necessarily because, I kind of accept RNG is what it is, I can definitely understand why it would rub some people the wrong way. So I'm glad that they made this change. Now, what do these changes mean necessarily? Well, for me, it all spells out one thing. They are listening to us as a community. These are changes that were hollered about very, very loudly by the community and the community alone. I think one of the biggest concerns from a lot of people is that Gearbox had just given up on Wonderlands and that they weren't going to be making any changes that the community had been asking for. I believe that with the changes that came with this patch, it just goes to prove that they are listening to us and are attempting to implement the things that we want in Wonderlands. Now, have they implemented everything that people have been hollering for? No, there are still a few things that I think could be addressed to make the Wonderlands experience more enjoyable by all. But this is very, very encouraging. It also means that they have not given up on the game at all. Why would you make these kind of quality of life changes that the community is asking for if you were just intending to pull the plug on the franchise? You absolutely wouldn't. These kinds of changes require lots of man hours, lots of coding hours. It's just not something that can be easily fixed with the wave of a wand, so to speak. So that just proves even more to me that they are going to continue to support Wonderlands and continue to make changes as they see fit within the structure of the universe that they are creating in Wonderlands. That doesn't mean necessarily that we are going to get everything we want all the time forever, but if we can be encouraged a little bit by this, it proves that Gearbox has not given up on this game. They do have intentions of this game continuing forward and putting out more content. Okay, so that's the good news. The bad news comes in the exact same paragraph. They have increased the Chaos Mode cap to 100. 100 is a lot. Let's be perfectly honest here. 50 was probably too high when they capped it there. A lot of people struggled just to grind to 20. When they changed the cap to 35, that was a big leap, and that was only by 15 additional runs. Going all the way to 50 with no real reason to do so other than increasing your gear's ascendedness just kind of didn't work well. When I could get the same stuff by stopping at Chaos 20, without Ascension of course, why would I continue to grind away at this if I didn't enjoy it? I do enjoy the Chaos Chambers myself personally, however, going through 50 levels of Chaos Chambers on some characters just wasn't really what I wanted to do. This increase to 100 is absolutely too damn high. I think that you will find that most players will not even bother attempting this beyond the really hardcore players that really want perfectly ascended gear on all of their characters. I do intend to make the climb on at least one or two characters just to show that it can be done. However, I don't really see the need to take all of my characters all the way to Chaos 100. Now, if something were to come along in the future that required said ascended gear, I definitely would do so in order to get the highest odds possible of getting fully ascended gear. And they did do this as well. They adjusted the ascended gear weight to scale to accommodate the increase. So that means at Chaos 100, with the adjusted gear weight and with the phasing out of lower quality gear the higher you get through the Chaos mode, in theory, by Chaos 100, you should be seeing only ascended gear, or pretty much only ascended gear. But again, I just don't feel like this was something that was asked for or really wanted by too many people. I think the really hardcore grinders will enjoy the fact that they can push their way through and get fully ascended gear on everything, but the more casual players will probably be very content to stop at Chaos 35 or Chaos 50. I don't think that this is a killer for the game, but it's yet another example of just how grindy Wonderlands becomes the higher you go. For some people, that's extremely off-putting, and I get that. For me, I kind of could have it either way, to be honest. A part of me will be annoyed that I don't really feel like taking my character all the way to cap, but at the same time, right now there's no real reason to do that beyond Ascended Gear, so yeah, I could take it or leave it. I don't think that this patch is the full saving grace that this game really required in order to bring everybody back into the fold of Wonderlands. However, just given the fact that this shows that they are supporting the game and that they will continue to support the game is encouraging enough for me to say that this patch is a definite win for Gearbox. They are listening to us. They do want us to have the things that we would like to have in Wonderlands. I think certain things that people are asking for does go against the very spirit of the game and probably will not be implemented, at least in Wonderlands. I've said this a million times on my stream, and I will say it again. Wonderlands is not Borderlands, and I think that Gearbox is taking a hard line to show that. The things that we have in Borderlands 3 simply will not translate into Wonderlands because it is such a different experience. You can call me crazy, and I intend to put a video out to show all of my points as to this, but Gearbox themselves has kind of proven my point that this is two separate franchises by saying that there is going to be a Wonderlands devoted franchise moving forward that is separate from the Borderlands universe. So while they are within the same universe and you are going to see Borderlands characters in Wonderlands, they were always intended to be two different franchises, two different experiences. So I doubt we will get everything that we have in a Borderlands game in Wonderlands, simply because it's not meant for that. That will be off-putting to some, I'm sure, but there are plenty of us that enjoy the Wonderlands experience for what it is and don't need it to be another Borderlands game. But what do you all think about this patch? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the new Wonderlands patch, Wonderlands in general, and how this patch makes you feel. There are no wrong opinions, so everybody just say what they feel on that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave a like and subscribe on the channel if you would be so kind so this channel can continue to grow. And as always, be excellent to each other. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.